Hi, I'm Kristen from That Blooming Garden. I don't do live videos very often, but I thought I'd come on today and just kind of talk about what I'm doing in January as far as the garden goes. Not much outside right now. We've had a lot of rain and wind and nothing's really frozen or anything. We haven't had any hard frost. It's been actually, I'm probably going to say that so far it's been one of our warmest winters to date. So I'm in zone 8, so it actually, and we live quite near the water, near the ocean. So we get a lot of ocean breezes. So quite often we don't get a lot of really hard frosts. So for it to go quite a bit below zero is kind of not very normal for this area. So we're really lucky in that way. So as I walked the garden yesterday, I could see all sorts of spring bulbs trying to pop up through the soil. And I think you're probably going to see that in your garden. Your tulips and your crocus are starting to pop up, especially if you live here in the lower mainland of British Columbia where I do. It's pretty common, but bulbs are really, really tough, so you don't really have to worry about them. If you have a few leaves coming around and you think that we're going to have, or if you have leaves, in the garden still, or any kind of compost, you can probably throw an extra layer on them, or maybe put some branches over top. There's a lot of branches that have fallen off of a lot of the evergreens with the windstorm we've had over the last day. So you can use those in the garden to kind of cover your plants up if you're really concerned. So what do we do in January in the garden? All I can think about right now is seeds, and I can't wait to start ordering my seeds, but I really have to be careful because I have a huge blue tote in the garage full of seeds. I really don't need to order anymore, but there's always new varieties that you just have to try out, right? I mean, how can you grow the same thing year after year? I know I can't do that. So, and they're always coming out with new seeds. So anyways, the first thing you want to do in January especially is sign up for all the catalogs. Now there's a lot of websites that will have and just only have online sites for that where you can buy your seeds. For example, Florette Farm, where I bought all of my cut flower garden seeds last year. She has a great website with beautiful descriptions of her flowers, and her seeds are awesome. So you might want to try her out. But locally, I mean, I know this is backwards, but you could try West Coast Seeds as well, and now they've got, you can buy their seeds online, or you can try and sign up for the catalog and they'll mail one out to you. And these seeds are all basically great for the lower mainland of BC, but they do have different, they'll tell you about the different zones and what seeds would be good for your area. So watch for that. I also ordered a lot of Canadian catalogs as well. So this is William Dam Seeds, got some interesting things in that as well. And also, if you want more Canadian sites, because I live in Canada, sometimes it's not so easy to order from the United States because of the shipping and all that kind of stuff, and the exchange of the dollar. It always costs more. So if you go to www.seeds.ca, you'll see a lot of the Canadian seed sites are listed there. And it's nice to kind of buy from companies that got local seeds. So perhaps, you know, like BC Seed Co-op. They're up in the valley here, and it's a group of farmers that actually grow all the crops for seed. And so the seeds are suited to our climate here in the lower mainland as well. So they're a good choice as well. So think about that. And I was trying to think about that because obviously I'm not going to buy seeds from somewhere like in Florida or something like that where they have a real tropical climate, because they may not do well here where we definitely have our 4 seasons and they don't, right? So think about that. So there's so many different sites. Heritage Harvest is another great site. It's in Manitoba, and I've had really good luck with their tomato seeds. But just ask other garden friends as well, and I'll try and put a link up to some of the other things below the video so you can have a selection. You can kind of do some browsing, especially when the weather's not good. This is a good time to start thinking about planting your garden. Sketch out what you want to, what area you're going to plant, and design where you're going to plant each crop. If you're growing vegetables, remember where you put things last year, and think about rotating your crops. Crop rotation is really important in the vegetable garden, so you avoid certain pests and diseases. So if you grew potatoes in one spot in one bed this year, you should probably move them to a new spot this year. Just always the best thing to do, and best thing for your, nobody wants to fight bugs all summer, right? Or any kind of disease and lose your crops. So best to do that. If it's just flowers, it's not really a serious problem. I don't plant, most flowers are planted in different areas every year anyway, depending on what color I want. So I don't know what the color this year is supposed to be blue. Now that's not a really common color in the flower world, but there are blue flowers. So I don't go by that. I just plant what I like. Anyway, I thought I'd talk about some of the seeds I'm going to be starting this month. Yeah, I know it's only January, right? But usually I don't start any of my vegetable seeds until probably the first week of March. I'll start with my tomatoes because I'm known as that tomato lady. You know, I grow about 400 tomato plants a year, and it's because I have a plant sale in May. So I don't, I don't grow that many for just myself. But there's lots of seeds you can start early, especially things like perennial seeds. And one of the ones that I wanted to grow were some columbine seeds. So I picked up some columbine seeds. Actually, these are given to me by my neighbor. And I love columbines. They're such pretty perennials. So often when you're starting perennial seeds, it's good to start them so they go through a cold period. So sometimes you have to start them in January, and they're going to be subject to some cold weather. Now, I would start these probably in my greenhouse, but you could start them certainly in the home. It's probably good to have a really nice indoor grow light set up. I've just recently got one, so it's all new to me. So I just plant directly in the greenhouse, and it can take a few weeks for these seeds to germinate. You can also try winter sowing them. If you haven't done that, you can winter sow them in milk jugs. That way they sit outside, they can get snowed on, they have that cold temperatures. So it's just what I need, that seed needs to break dormancy when it's growing perennial. So a lot of perennial seeds are like that. So read the back of your seed package. That's so important for the growing information. But columbines are one of those plants that you can start now. So, and if you're thinking about herbs, like I love to grow herbs. I like to cook. Well, who doesn't want to? If you're growing vegetables, of course, you probably like to cook and you like to eat, right? I mean, I think we all do that. But a lot of those shrubby herbs like sage and rosemary and things like that, you can pick up seeds for that as well. And I've got mint here, and I've got, let me see, I've got some thyme, and I've got some rosemary. They just happen to be in my box. So I thought, well, I'll try these out and see how they grow from seed. I normally do a lot of my propagation of herbs from either cuttings or just from root division. So I don't often grow them from seed, but it's very easy to do cuttings too. And maybe we'll get a lesson on cuttings in a couple of months. Usually when the plant's more actively growing, it's easier to do it then. So, and they're just starting to come, some plants are actually coming back to life already. It seems so early in the year to be thinking about getting in the garden. I'm kind of enjoying the break, I must admit. So, but there's lots to read about gardening. So think about some of the herbs you might want to be propagating for your garden, planting those. So another one, vegetable, coming towards the vegetable garden, you can start things like onions. Onions are great, and there's so many more varieties to grow when you're choosing seeds. Now these are, so I'm looking, well, these are Walla Walla onions. I had to look at the package because I'd forgotten. And like I said, these are given to me. It looks like they've got a color, like a pellet colored seed. They're normally black, so onion seed is always black, but they've obviously put this coating on. It's usually a clay that they put on the seed. Just makes for easier handling, because some seeds can be really super tiny. So quite often you'll see seeds that have that on them. And that's okay, it won't be hurt to use. So you can grow seeds, so like you can get Alicia Craig onions or Walla Walla onion seeds. There's usually a lot of seeds per package, and onion seeds don't keep very long, so you pretty well have to grow them the first year. So you might want to buy a package and share them with some friends. Now, if you're a beginner gardener, the best way to grow onions for the first time is to buy onion sets, and they'll start showing up in the garden centers probably in February. So it's too early to plant, but you probably put them out towards the end of March. So onion sets are little 1-year-old onions, and they're quite small. They're only about 1/2 inch across. They almost look like a little crocus bulb. So basically you're just going to plant them in the soil, and you'll get an onion towards late summer. So it's a really easy way for beginners, and quite often you can get like 80 onions for like $3. So it's a really inexpensive way to grow onions as well. So we'll talk more about that coming up as we get a little bit busier, but now is a kind of a quiet month. And I wanted to show you, I actually got, I don't know if you're following me on Facebook, my Facebook page at That Blooming Garden. If you're not, come join the party over there, because I'm really having some great conversations with people. But what I did is, before Christmas, everybody was having these 12 days of Christmas kind of contests going on. And so I entered a few of them, and I won a couple of amazing books. I'm just going to open one, and this is from Florette Farms. And I love Erin's posts and her blog posts, because I grew a lot of cut flowers last year. I kind of cut back on the vegetable growing for a year because my daughter was getting married, so I grew cut flowers, and I ordered seeds from Florette Farms. She's located in Washington State. Climate's very much like ours, and every seed did really, really well for me. But I won a garden planner, and I'm so excited to get that. It just came yesterday. So it's taken a couple of weeks to get here, but it's always hard because it's had to cross the border and they probably had to inspect it all before it came up. But if you haven't seen it, so it's a garden planner, how to plan your flower garden. And then of course when to plant what. And it's great to write down things as you go. If you have the time, it's not always easy to remember. So, I try and do this every evening. I'll open up a page and write down what I planted and how long it took to come up in the garden. Things like that. Or plants, even if you didn't like them or if I did like them, like keep records so you can look back from year to year. And you may even want to put things like weather records. So that's one of the books I got. It's actually called, the 2020 12-month planner. So, and look at that picture. Boy, if I could have garden flowers like that, that'd be great. They're all peonies on the front cover here. So if you're not checked out Floret Farm, she's just great. Anyway, that's about all I'm doing this month. I'm doing a few creative projects because I'm going to be a vendor at an event in March. So trying to do some soaps and some sewing and stuff like that. And I've got a lot of dried flowers that I'm working with right now, crafting. And that's kind of nice, that you can grow something in the garden and bring it in through the winter and still kind of have that garden related project going on. So anyway, that's about it for today. If you've got any questions or if I've missed anything out or can't catch up with me, but anyway, thank you. I want to thank you for watching today. I've really enjoyed doing this video and testing out about this new little light system that Farmer Jim decided to get me for Christmas. So anyway, thanks again, and we will talk to you again soon in the next video.